presents to you Honest Talk.
Hello folks, we are privileged to announce that today Dr. Rajiv Agarwal is joining us. Dr. Rajiv Agarwal has an illustrated experience of more than 25 years in teaching and research. He has served Bipin Chandra Tripathi, Kumaon Institute of Technology, Uttarakhand, Autonomous Institute of Uttarakhand Government, India for more than 14 years in different capacities such as Head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and MCA. He has more than 45 publications in reputed international journals and conferences along with many presentations in national conferences to his credit. Dr. Rajiv works on ultrasound medical imaging, has been cited by many authors of international repute. He was a member of BOS MTU and Noida RDC member of MTU, Noida and UPTU. Presently, he is member of Academic Council and convener of one of the BOS member of Governing Council E-Resource Consortium AKTU. So let's begin our talk with Dr. Rajiv Agarwal.
So first of all, thank you so much, sir, for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us. We are extremely very happy to have you for today's talk.
Yeah, really, it is really nice. I was just saying, let's say, whatever things are going nowadays, it will be interesting if we get some, let's say, information to the students, which will be beneficial in their careers and what they are thinking. I think as an administrator, as a academician, as a teacher, so this is our duty to make the student aware. So what are the challenges they will face at this time? So I think whatever sessions you are taking, that will be good for the students.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And now, sir, moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen, is decoding the learning outcomes in online mode. So, sir, my first question, which I would like to put here is, sir, what would you believe over it? Is online education model is as easy and convenient as it seems?
So, Harsh, I think we have to think of, if we talk in terms of a convenience, there are two aspects of it. So one is the teacher and the other is the student. And if we see our traditional model where the teachers and the students are interacting physically, and generally it is a chalk and board method where the teacher are taking the classes in the classrooms. Now, I think the challenge is with the in front of the student as well as the faculty also. So it is convenient. I say it is convenient, but the aspect here is whether our student is trained enough, whether our teachers are trained enough to use the applications, to use these technologies, and how versed our teacher are, and what utilizations the students are taking. I think this is the major issues which we have to think once we go on the online. That whether it is adapted by the teacher convenience. So I think this is a very convenient mode where you can access so many number of students, and there is no restriction of a time, there is no restriction of a content, there is nothing limited. But the important aspect is the adaptability of these systems. I must talk in terms of adaptability. I think that's the greatest challenge in front of us, that whether the faculty members are adaptable to these technologies, whether they are easy, they are finding comfortable to taking the classes these more, and same applies to the student, whether they are comfortable, whether they are enjoying these classes. If you see in terms of a convenience, I say it is convenient, but adaptability is the issue which is to be taken care by faculty as well as from the student.
All right, sir. Sir, when we were collecting the question for this session, one question which is common in all the platforms, and I think I should include this question because you are joining us. Sir, the question is that how much reachable online education is?
I think this is a very important aspect of this, and where once we talk in this online educations and as per in our Indian context, for everybody, I think that's the greatest challenge. So we are talking in terms of a digital divide, and where we finding what is the accessibility of internet to the students, and where we see that it's a great challenge, because we are getting many, let's say, problems. If the internet connectivity is there, I think the bandwidth is a major issue. So I think the success of these online educations so totally depend once we have a total infrastructure, and the bandwidth and everything is available to the nearest corner of the villages. So this will always be a challenge, and that's the greatest challenge with the technology. That if you do not find these internet facilities available to the villages, I think then there will be a digital divide questions. The students who are in the metros and the major cities will get the access, whereas the other students who are living in village, they're not getting the access. So I think that's the divide.
All right, sir. One question which also comes here, if we talk about the quality. Sir, my question to you is that will students get the same quality learning online as they would get on campus?
Harsh, again, this is a very, very important question. That once you are delivering online, so you have to also see what is the quality which is imparted by these online courses. And once we see that overall picture of these online courses, I think it's a two term which we call one is quality and another is quantitative. So I think if we go for these content, we find that then the quality is a big issue, whereas the quantity is there in case of these online courses. So for us, it is very, very, let's say, challenging that once we are shifting to an online mode, the quality of delivery should be very, very important. And with these aspects, I think once we go in terms of a learning outcome of the online courses, we are witnessing that these online courses deals with the primary or basic level of understanding, or basic level of which we call it as a Bloom's taxonomy, where the student can able to understand or remember. But once we see the higher level of learning, which includes your analysis, which includes your creativity, which includes your problem solving, I think this mode is not working at that level, because generally in our system, what is happening is the teacher is capturing their classes and just pushing these content for the student. But we are not judging into these aspects what is the outcome of these content or outcome of these classes, whether the student are touching that level or not. I think that's define the quality of any online process. So definitely at present, I say that we are in learning mode. We are adapting these technologies. Initial level, we are not touching the higher level of understanding. But as these technologies advances, and we find there are lots of things which is coming, and we are finding that AI, artificial intelligence, and many other tools are coming up, which is talking in terms of these levels. So in the coming times, we hope, let's say, as these levels will be touched. At present, I see that's a quality is a very big issue.
All right, sir. One question. Sir, when the teacher takes physical class, the teacher keeps her eyes on all the students. But whenever we talk about the online class, e-class, or whether it is a not live session, suppose the teacher has uploaded the video and the student is taking. So, sir, one question which comes here is, do you believe it will affect the class participation, which generally happen in the physical class?
So, Harsh, there is no doubt, and it's a
Hello.
Having these experiences of online as well as
Hello.
offline mode. It's there is no doubt it's in a class. So
Hello.
he's touching some, which is basically Hello,
Sir,
Harsh. Hello.
Yes, and now you are audible. Sir, could you
Okay.
please repeat the answer?
Right. So the question is, let's say, if we talk in terms of a classroom sessions and an online session, so it's very clear that taking the cognizance into these type of experiences, where once we are taking in a class mode and another we are taking an online mode, I think this is very clear. There is no let's say chance where we can say there is a substitute of a classroom teaching. But anyhow, because in this time, pandemic time, we have to understand this is the only mode by which we'll be delivering the content or delivering the classes. So, and along with this, there is other aspects which is untouched, once you are going into online mode, because once you are taking the classes, there are two type of let's say outcome, which is directly and indirectly linked. So directly, once a teacher take into class, he talks into some conceptual knowledge which is related to, if it's a engineering colleges, so it will be talking in terms of engineering knowledge, some aspect of a problem analysis, then they'll be talking about some design and development, and some, let's say, conduct of investigations of problems. So meaning here is, let's say, once we are delivering these lectures, these aspect is directly taken care by the class. But there are other aspects which is not directly taken by a class, which includes your, let's say, ethics, which includes your environment and sustainability, teamwork, financial and management, which is a engagement of the student within the campus, right? For example, once the student goes into lab, so their team management, team aspects is taken care. Once you are doing any projects, so these financial aspect is taken care, environment and sustainability is taken care. I think the overall outcome of any of the engineering course is missing in these online classes. We are touching only 2-3 aspect of it, but rest of the 7-8 aspect is not touched because we are not engaging into the process of learning. So I think that's a major issue with this online mode, that we are only touching the initial aspect, which is directly gained by classes, but rest other outcome, which is not direct attainment, it is indirect attainment through engagement of different type of activities, which the students is definitely missing in the campus.
All right, sir. You made a very good point that because right now we are in a position that we can't run the physical classes, so we have to adopt this model. So, sir, one question, as I was looking into the net, I found that there is one concept of virtual lab is emerging. So in which a student can open that application or open that website and perform all the experiment by clicking the mouse pad. So, sir, how do you look at will it take up to some extent because right now all physical labs can't be possible. So, will it help the student to gain up to some extent knowledge?
So, if we are talking as an engineering education as per se, so you understand, let's say, without practical knowledge, you cannot say the engineering knowledge is fulfilled. And so the practical aspect of engineering knowledge is very important. And as you rightly said, let's say on online mode, this is not possible. That you go to the lab and then have a practical sessions in the laboratory, and especially to a core branches, which includes a mechanical, which includes electrical, and especially civil, where you have, let's say, the labs, which is mostly related to site trainings. So I think this will be very, very affected, and the learning of the student will be very, very severe. The reason being because they are understanding the theoretical knowledge, as far as these practical aspects are concerned, that is totally missing. In some of the areas, these virtual labs and these simulation tool will work specifically oriented towards the CSIT. Right? So if you talk in terms of a CSIT, I think that can be compensated because you have different platform by which you can practice your coding and test how you are performing. You can increase your problem solving level. But if you see in the core branches, mechanical students, there is a huge lab, and if they are not doing by hand, I don't know how they will learn. Same applies to the electronics student. If they do not realize the circuit, if they do not pin it, they do not see how it is working, I think this knowledge will be suffered. But still, I see there is an option which is available. The students can go to the virtual labs, and as far as the AKTU is concerned, we are also doing the process where able to match around 20-30%. So actually, the student is losing these practical aspects nowadays in online classes.
All right, sir. Sir, one question which I would like to put it here is how students should work keeping the gaps in this mode.
I think that's a most important question for every student. Now, as we are seeing, and everybody is finding, and that even the placement is switching to a digital mode. Once the placement is switching to a digital mode, the student has to understand that the process will be totally different, right? So if they have to appear on a also they have to appear for an aptitude test or any of the tests. So that will be totally online. Now, if this is online, this will be mostly a proctor test. And generally, let's say we had the tendency, we do not understand the proctor test. So the student has to understand that if it is a proctor test, so it will be very, very rigorous. Any student who is not following the rules of the proctor test will be taken out from the system. So they have to manage, they have to understand that this process is totally digitalized. This is mostly automation process. So there is no scope of a gap. If you do some error or some mischievous activities, you'll be taken out from the system. Second applies to once you go to, let's say, the interview section. I think the interview system will be more stringent. The quality of the let's say the questions and the expected answers will be at a good level. The student has to keep on practicing, and then they have to update their knowledge, and they should be also versed with dealing with these online tests as well as dealing with online platforms. Because if you are not adapting these systems, and suddenly if you go for these tests, I think it will be very difficult to cope up with these systems. So the students have to keep on training themselves onto these systems, which includes taking different tests. Second, using different platforms for coding, and third, let's say virtual interviews. Because once you are having in-person interview, your aspects of judging is different. Once into your online mode, your aspect of judging is different, right? And many times we face that we are not very comfortable using a camera. So the student challenges become more stringent, because everything is shifted to an online mode or a digital mode, and they have to adapt these features on that. The best way to adapt these features is keep on working on these aspects, take tests, take practice tests, do online courses, adapt some platform, take some virtual interviews. So that's how you can train yourself.
Sir, you have told so many important things that the student use this time wisely and go online, explore more, and view some courses. Sir, I would like to put one question, as you have said that placement is going right now online. So, sir, do you believe that will this pandemic will affect the placements of the students?
At present, I think we cannot say anything how it shapes. But whatever trend we are getting, definitely the hiring pattern will change, right? So pattern change means I think it will be more driven by on-demand requirement rather than a hiring process. So it means the company will be hiring as per the project requirement, as per the demand. There will be no such, let's say, you can say only the hiring. So it will be only the demand-based hiring. Once it is a demand-based hiring, so demand particularly lies to specific areas. So it will be very, very easy, means the skill set required will not be general. It is a very specific requirement. For example, if I say a student from BTech Computer Science or BTech from Electronics and Communication Engineering, it will not be a general rule where the company will be testing in terms of aptitude, in terms of some technical aspect, and in terms of a personality. The meaning here, if they are hiring these graduates, so their skill set will be matched. So they'll say that the electronics and communication engineering graduate with these skill set means he should know these languages, he should be very versed with these tools, and he should have a technical knowledge as well as he should be good in communication. So I think the mapping will be important. And once the mapping is done, so you have to fit into that particular map. And if you are not fitting into that map, so you will not be selected. So I think what I say is that the gap of fitment will be tight, right? So the companies will come with a specific requirement, they will have a specific mapping, and they'll be judging these students in terms of their requirement. So this is very important for the student to keep on working, to keep upgrading themselves, joining some online courses, working on the basics and fundamentals. And because as I have already discussed in this, so the mode will be different, so you have to adapt that mode, and once you adapt that mode, and then the hiring process will be different.
All right, sir. So, sir, I don't want to waste your much time. So, moving to my last question, sir. Sir, what advice would you like to give the student, those who are in their houses, and as these times, mostly the vacations they are going on, because yet most of the colleges is not decided how they have to move forward. So, what advice would you like to give how they can use this time in more productive way?
So what I'm realizing is that most of the students are not understanding that they have already been into this pandemic from last 3.5 months, and once they are into a 3.5 month, and if you're sitting idle, and if you're thinking that nothing will happen, or let's say the colleges or any institutions will do something for them, I think they are into a big problem. So the first of all, the student has to understand that in this time, the students who are self-learner will win this race, right? So the key point here is we should be self-learner and self-motivated, because generally once we are running the normal classes, even the faculty role is changing. Now once you are in a class, the faculty knows that these are the students who need some additional advice or who need some handhold. But once you are in an offline mode, you are generally not in the front of the faculty members, so it's really hard to help them. So the best way to utilize this time is to become a self-learner. Second aspect is that as I have indicated, that you should be very, very versed with adapting the technologies. So you have to adapt the technologies. You have to train yourself so that you should not feel uncomfortable once you are going into a real test. Third advice is that during this time you should be very patient enough, right? Because at this time, once you are sitting in a room and you are not interacting, you are not included into any physical activities, you are not let's say interacting, maybe something like that, and that's why what happens, your mind becomes. So once your mind becomes clutters, so generally we say empty minds is a devil mind, that many times leads to depression and many times leads to mental disorders. So the advice is that the students should engage themselves into active learning. Second is they should adapt these technologies. Third is they should be positive, and they should be calm enough and patient so that they should pass with these phases.
Sir, you have made so many good important points. One which I like the most is that we have to become now self-learner. Nobody is going to feed in a spoon and say that take it. So we have to explore all the things ourselves. I think the student who is watching this session will learn something from this. So it was a great interaction with you. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. We look forward to conduct more and more sessions with you. I have learned so much from you from this session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you guys for inviting me, and it's really, really, I'm really happy that I could able to contribute and say some advice or maybe my thought on these aspects. Thank you, Ramesh.
It was a great interaction with you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.